How one blacksmith's plow built an empire. In the 1830s, the American Midwest was the great unknown, a vast green ocean of tall grass prairie stretching out to the horizon. It was a land of promise, the place where hundreds of thousands of settlers were pinning their dreams of a new life. But this land was hiding a secret, a dark, sticky secret that was breaking their backs, their plows, and their spirits. The very soil that was supposed to be their salvation was fighting back. It clung to their plows with a stubborn grip that could stop a team of oxen dead in its tracks. The solution wasn't going to come from some wealthy industrialist in a New York boardroom or a famous inventor. It was going to come from a down-on-his-luck blacksmith who had fled his debts, armed with a simple, brilliant idea. An idea that would not only conquer the prairie, but would build a global empire and fundamentally change the way the world eats. This is the story of how one man, John Deere, and one invention, the self-scouring steel plow, built America's breadbasket and launched a company that would go on to feed the world. Section 1. The Unforgiving Eden. To really get why this was such a game changer, you have to understand the sheer scale of the problem. Picture the scene in the early 1830s. America's young and it's gripped by expansion fever. Families from the East, lured by the promise of cheap, fertile land, are pouring into the Midwest, places like Illinois and Iowa. They show up with their life savings, their tools, and a hope of turning that wild prairie into a productive farm. The land they found was like nothing they'd ever seen. It was covered in a thick mat of prairie grass, with roots so deep and tangled, people said you could build a house on them. But the real enemy wasn't the grass, it was what lay beneath it. The soil was a rich, black loam, some of the most fertile on the planet. The problem? It was also incredibly heavy and sticky, especially when it was wet. The pioneers brought the best tool they had, the cast iron plow. Back east, in the lighter, sandier soils, it worked just fine. But out here, it was a total disaster. The thick, gummy soil would cling to the rough surface of the plow's moldboard. That's the curved part that turns the soil over. Every few steps, the farmer would have to stop, grab a wooden paddle, and scrape the pounds of mud off his plow. Plowing a single acre could take an entire day of maddening, back-breaking work. It was so brutal that some settlers, completely defeated, seriously thought about just packing up and going back east. The American dream was literally getting stuck in the mud, and that's when John Deere walks into the picture. Born in Vermont in 1804, Deere was a skilled and respected blacksmith known for his careful work. But by 1836, the New England economy was tanking, and Deere, like so many others, was facing serious financial hardship. With a family to support, he made a tough choice. He left them behind, packed up his tools, and with about $73 to his name, he headed west. He landed in the tiny settlement of Grand Detour, Illinois, a place that desperately needed a good blacksmith. He set up shop right away, fixing tools for the local farmers. And every single day, he heard the same story of frustration, the story of the stubborn prairie soil and the plows that just couldn't beat it. Section 2. The Spark of Genius. John Deere was a problem solver. That was his trade. And as he listened to the farmers complain, his mind started churning. He knew the cast iron plows were the issue. Their surfaces were just too rough, giving that sticky soil plenty to grab onto. The solution, he figured, had to be something different. Something hard, but also incredibly smooth. So smooth that the soil would have no choice but to slide right off. Now Deere wasn't the only person thinking along these lines. Another blacksmith, John Lane, had reportedly built a few steel-faced plows around 1833. But they were one-off, custom jobs. What Deere did next was on another level. As the story goes, inspiration struck when he saw a broken steel saw blade at a local mill, polished to a mirror shine from years of cutting wood. That was it. That was the answer. With an idea burning in his mind, Deere took that broken blade back to his little blacksmith shop in 1837. Steel was rare and expensive on the frontier, so he couldn't afford to mess up. He carefully heated and hammered the old saw blade, shaping it over a log to create the perfect curve, a design that would not just cut the soil, but lift and roll it over in a clean, continuous peel. The result was a plow that looked unlike any other. It was sleeker, and it gleamed in the firelight. But the real test was in the field. When Deere took it out to a local farm for a demonstration, a crowd of skeptical farmers gathered to watch. They'd seen new plows fail before. Deere hitched up a horse, grabbed the handles, and drove the plow into the earth. And then something incredible happened. Instead of sticking, the thick, black soil curled up and cascaded off the polished moldboard like a wave. The plow sliced cleanly through the prairie, turning a perfect furrow without stopping, without clogging. It was self-scouring. A cheer reportedly went up from the astonished farmers. They had just witnessed the future. That one demonstration changed everything. John Deere sold that first plow to a farmer named Lewis Crandall, who spread the word far and wide. In 1838, Deere built and sold 2 more. By the end of 1839, he'd made 10. By 1842, it was 100. And by 1843, he was up to 400 plows a year. Word of the plow that tamed the prairie was spreading like wildfire. Every farmer wanted one. John Deere wasn't just fixing a problem, he was selling the key to unlocking the dream of the prairie. Section 3. Forging an Empire. The demand for his plows was exploding. John Deere's small shop in Grand Detour was suddenly way too small. He had a classic problem of success. He couldn't get enough steel, and he couldn't ship his finished plows out fast enough. So in 1848, Deere proved he was more than an inventor. He was a brilliant businessman. He moved his entire operation 70 miles southwest to Moline, Illinois. Moline was a strategic masterstroke. It was right on the Mississippi River, giving him a highway for shipping materials in and plows out. It also had water power to run a bigger factory. This is the moment John Deere the blacksmith truly became Deere and Company the industrial powerhouse. His new Moline factory opened in 1849 and produced 2,000 plows in its first year. He switched from expensive, imported English steel to high-quality cast steel from Pittsburgh. By 1856, that number was over 13,000 plows a year. The company's growth was driven by a creed that has since become its legendary motto: "I will never put my name on a product that does not have in it the best that is in me." He was obsessed with quality, constantly tweaking his designs based on feedback from the farmers who used them. In 1858, he handed the day-to-day operations to his son, Charles. While John was the innovator, Charles was the empire builder. Charles set up a network of branch houses and independent dealers across the country, a sales and marketing machine that was as revolutionary as the plow itself. In 1868, the business officially incorporated as Deere Company, with John as president and Charles driving the expansion. The company soon branched out into cultivators, planters, and wagons. But the next great leap came after John Deere's death. In 1918, the company made its most important purchase ever, the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company. With that, Deere Company was in the tractor business. The iconic Waterloo Boy tractor set the stage for a new century of dominance, replacing the power of the horse with the power of the internal combustion engine. The company that had helped settle the West with a simple steel plow was now about to transform it all over again. Conclusion: from a steel blade to a digital world. From that single polished steel blade forged in 1837, an empire grew. But the legacy of John Deere is about so much more than a successful company. The steel plow was one of the keys that unlocked the agricultural potential of the American heartland. It made farming the vast prairies profitable and helped turn the United States into an agricultural superpower. That invention, combined with railroads and the sheer grit of the settlers, laid the foundation for the Midwest to become the world's breadbasket. And the company has never stopped innovating. Today, a John Deere machine is a technological marvel its founder could never have imagined. Their massive X9 combines can, under the right conditions, harvest up to 100 tons of grain per hour. Their see and spray systems use artificial intelligence to tell a weed from a crop, reducing herbicide use by up to 77% in some applications. And they have demonstrated fully autonomous tractors that can plow a field with no one in the cab, guided by GPS and a mind-boggling suite of sensors. It's a staggering leap in technology, but the core idea is exactly the same as it was back in that dusty blacksmith shop. It's about seeing a problem that's holding farmers back and then relentlessly engineering a solution. From one man escaping financial hardship with an idea to a global corporation. From a simple tool that beats sticky soil to autonomous machines that farm with AI. The story of John Deere is the story of how a single, brilliant solution didn't just build a company, it helped build a nation and continues to shape how we feed our planet. If you enjoyed this story of innovation, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. And let us know in the comments. What other single invention do you think had the biggest impact on history? Thanks for watching.